Now that experiment is understood better than the ordinary weight experiment. Because we are accustomed to a thing, it doesn't follow that we understand. I'm now going to show something else about the condition of space. Usually, matter moves through empty space, through vacuum, quite easily. The planets move without the slightest resistance. But it's possible to throw space into such a condition that there is friction. The body does not move easily through it. Well, take for instance this pendulum. I said let it swing. It swings with complete freedom. Except that it touches that metal pole. I don't want it to touch. It's intended to swing free. Now I throw the space between these poles into a state of strain. And when I now let it go, you'll find that it meets with resistance, friction, and oscillates quite slowly. It has the momentum wiped out of it by friction. Or if I take this ring and put it in the same space and then let it go, it doesn't drop. Or it does drop, but drops slowly. It oozes down as if it were falling in trees. I'd like to show those experiments again, because this friction in empty space has excited a good deal of interest among philosophers. Professor Tyndall used to say, I look with singular hope at this strange experiment. Friction in vacuum. Friction against empty space. I'm going to drop this ring once more. You see, it doesn't cling to anything or touch anything. It's not attracted. It is simply, it only touches by accident. It simply falls through empty space as if it were a viscous substance. So we can confer on space, I was going to say a number of properties. I would rather say that space possesses a number of properties which we can make use of and illustrate. Some of them are familiar, like gravity. Others are unfamiliar, like that or like this throwing up of the body. But now, the force which empty space can transmit is enormous. We know more about these electric and magnetic actions that I've been showing than we do about the ordinary fall of a block of timber or a cricket ball or anything else. The explanations that we give, however, are not ultimate explanations. We don't know all about any of these phenomena. An explanation only means connecting up the mysterious with the familiar, with something that we've grown accustomed to. We often feel that we understand things when we don't. We don't know why a body falls. We don't even know how we move a finger when we choose to. We have to accept heaps of facts that we cannot understand. And this should suffice to render us modest about rejecting any fact, however extraordinary, merely because we don't understand it, or we cannot see the explanation. Depend upon it, there always is an explanation, but it may take us some time to arrive at it. Our policy should be to accept the facts when well attested, to find out under what conditions they occur, and then gradually to seek for the best explanation we can get. One of the simplest experiments that can be shown is to rub a stick of sealing wax and attract light bodies. The ancients were interested in that. So was Sir Isaac Newton. The air is nothing to do with it. The absolute vacuum be all right. These forces are wholly affairs of the ether. The strain is in empty space. The strain may be caused by a large body like the Earth or in other ways, artificially. As you go away from the Earth, it diminishes. If you come near the Sun, you find it is 25 times as great. So that a pound would weigh a quarter of a hundredweight on the surface of the Sun. Some stars, the force of gravity is still greater. On an exceptional one, the companion of Sirius, associated with the name of Professor Eddington, a child would be unable to lift a lucifer match, for it would weigh half a hundredweight, while a sovereign would weigh a ton. The forces that can be transmitted by emptiness are enormous. The empty space between the moon and the Earth has to sustain a strain that would snap a bar of steel 400 miles thick. The properties of matter are altogether insignificant compared with the properties of emptiness. Matter looms large in our imagination because it appeals to our senses, our animal senses. But its properties have many imperfections. A thing made of matter is always temporary. It wears out, or it decays, or rusts, or evaporates, or otherwise loses its nature, whereas the properties of empty space or ether are perfect and never change. Our bodies are made of matter. Accordingly, we have aches and pains and breakdowns and ultimately collapse. If ever we find, as I think we are beginning to find, that life and mind need not be associated with matter, but can inhabit empty space, then life will not be subject. Life there will not be subject to the troubles of a material organism, and existence will be perpetual.